What's the most useless thing they teach in school? That you have to ignore bullies and or forgive them. In the real, outside world, if you bully someone you will get slapped across the face, get kicked in your butt, get fired from work, or get shunned and made fun of. P.S. My friend's nephew got bullied at school. The bully was poking him with his finger so hard that the next day the nephew had like 20 small bruises all over his back. The teacher just told him to ignore him and made the bully apologize. Now I dare you to go to work tomorrow and start poking people and see how far you go. If someone beats you up in high school, it's bullying and boys will be boys. The moment you turn 18, suddenly it's called assault and they can go to jail for that. I had the pleasure of yelling that at my principal in 10th grade. Basically calling her out that, as a teenager they wouldn't do anything about it, but the moment my bully turned 18 I could have his ass arrested. Suddenly she took the bullying situation differently, now that I threatened to bring the cops in. They mostly taught us to ask permission in order to use the bathroom. 40 years I've been asking permission to piss. I can't squeeze a drop without say so. You won't have a calculator in your pocket in the real world. Edit. Yes, I know how to do math. I'm an engineer and I like math theory. I promise I'm not a brain dead mobile addict. In order to graduate middle school you were required to complete the Cupid Shuffle, Cotton Eye Joe, and Electric Slide in front of your class. I guess this taught us the concept of pure embarrassment. Like, just by yourself you had to get up in front of the class and dance? We all learned as a class, but for the final test we had to dance all alone on the gym floor, while your whole class watched you dance to Cotton Eye Joe being quietly played from a CD player. Holy shit, that's just cruel, but as an outsider it's hilarious. The entire life of my school's founder. The worst of all is that they teach us the same thing all the years. Why would anyone need that? I presume it's a vanity thing the founder installed at some point. I will pay for the creation of a school, but I have one caveat. The tongue/taste map. Not only useless, but incorrect. Oh shit, I totally forgot about this. I remember having to fill out a diagram of a tongue with the tastes on different parts of it. I questioned the fuck out of it because I could still taste stuff on the other side of my tongue, and the teacher just said to accept it. I graduated in 1991 for context, and while living in Phoenix, they taught us square dancing in gym class. I must say though that the most useful skill that I was taught at that school that I use every single day is typing. Square dancing has been taught in schools for many decades, all thanks to the industrialist Henry Ford. He pushed for it hard and won. He didn't like the new dances people were doing, and wanted this American tradition preserved. I was taught that Columbus knew that the world was round, but everyone else thought it was flat. So yeah. That. By college, I was calling American history the but actually class. I had it in elementary school, middle school, high school, and then in college. Every time I took it, the teacher basically said, I know that you were taught blank in whatever grade, but actually what happened was. Example, elementary school, Lewis and Clark were super brave, and the lessons made it seem like it was just the two of them venturing into the unknown west. Middle school, Sacagawea was there too. High school, actually there were like 30 people on that expedition. The way the US public school system teaches it, Spanish. You learn it maybe half a year, then forget it over the summer. You'd think with years of education we'd be better Spanish speakers, but it's essentially useless the way it's taught. I took 2 years in school and barely learned anything. I can still pick up a word here and there but that's it. Not to brag, but after 3 years of Spanish classes, I understand every word in Hips Don't Lie. They taught competitive cup stacking in my elementary school. Still have no idea why. Edit. This was in central Canada, but clearly it was widespread across a lot of North America. Please stop asking me if I went to your school. I probably didn't. For like 3 months at my middle school, your entire self-worth was determined by how fast you could stack cups. Also, only now do I realize that the whole cup stacking thing was just an elaborate marketing scheme to sell us cups with holes in them. This is going to sound stupid, but history the way it's taught is basically meaningless. A long category of dates and events without contextual discussion. The vast majority of history is trivia, because the real story is the cyclical nature of events, the rise and fall of empires, the periods of enlightenment and advance and the reactionary times that bookend them. You learn that there used to be this thing called yellow journalism, but you don't learn that what kicked it off was the sudden availability and popularity of newspapers, and nobody draws the extremely obvious parallel to our modern blog-driven media. If I told you that in the mid to late 1800s, when newsprint was blowing up, that it was extremely common for papers to blatantly copy each other's stories with added editorial bias tailored to their viewers. Sounds a little familiar, doesn't it? Drawing parallels between the robber barons of the late 1800s and the current ones. Drawing parallels between the labor movements of that era and the ones that are growing again today. Shit's relevant and important to realize in context. But no. Just memorize some fucking dates and names, so you'll have some shit to spout at trivia night later. In my experience, the way gym and PE were taught were pretty useless, because they never taught us how to train or improve our athletic abilities. It was just weeks of half-heartedly playing basketball with minimal adult supervision, and then one day we had to run a mile, and the coaches would go out of their way to humiliate anyone who couldn't just get up and run a mile under 10 minutes with no training or preparation. It put me off running and exercise in general for a long time. Edit, I'm seeing so many stories here of people who experienced bullying, shame and humiliation in the PE classes in school. I'm so sorry that happened to all of you. None of us deserve that. I really hope that you all have found exercises that you enjoy. It doesn't have to just be running or weight training. Go on some beautiful hikes, buy a ring fit, take a pole dancing class. Whatever makes you feel strong and happy. You deserve it. And I hate to say it, many of the PE teachers and coaches were pretty unhealthy themselves. All my gym teachers were fat middle-aged men. Cursive writing. I could tape a pen to my dick and form a perfectly legal and acceptable signature. That classical literature is the end-all be-all of reading. I get that some books have cultural significance, but that doesn't warrant a 6-week in-depth analysis of a book kids can't relate to, with most being about challenges they will never face, culminating in an essay that's basically I understood it repeated over and over, backed up by quotes. If you want your kids to never touch a book in their lives again, that is how you do it. Thanks for watching. Please leave a like if you liked the video, and subscribe if you want to see more like it. Comment below if you know any subreddits that you would like featured on the channel. See you in the next video, fellow roamer.